the code starts by creating a class named merge sir. So inside the class is a method named merge. So inside the parameter of this method is the declaring of an array, integer array named array, and integer variables p, q, and r. Next, the declaration and initialization of a variable named int1 equivalent to the value of q minus p plus 1. Next is another declaration and initialization of a variable named int2, which is initialized with the value of r minus q. Next is the declaration of an array named L. Its value is equivalent to the value of n, or its size is equivalent to the value of n1 variable. Next is another declaration of a array. The array name is M. Its size is equivalent to the value of n2. Next is a for loop. So the for loop has a parameter int I is equal to 0, I is less than to n1, and it will increment I each time it iterates. So this for loop iterates through each element in the array from index p up to p plus n1 minus 1 and assign it to the corresponding indice in L array. So this process copies all the elements from one range to another, creating a subarray named L containing those elements from array. Next is another for loop. So this for loop is similar to the other one. This for loops iterates through each element in the array from index 0 up to the size of n2, and then it will assign each value of the array to the corresponding indice of M array. Here it initializes the three variables I, j, and k, where I initialized to the value of 0, j is initialized to the value of 0, k is initialized to the value of p. And then there's another while loop. So the loop has a parameter I is less than to n1 and j is less than to n2. So if this condition is met, then it will perform the iteration of the. So inside the loop is an if else condition. If array L is less than or equal to array j, then array with the parameter of key is equals to L with the parameter of I. Else array with the parameter of key is equals to M with the parameter of G. After that, it will exit the if else condition and then proceed on incrementing the value of key variable. Next to that is another while loop, which has a parameter of I is less than to n1. If it is true, then it will perform the statements inside the while loop. Inside is reinitialize each value of the array to the value of each value of the indice array or the subarray L, and then it will increment both value of I and k. Next to that is another while loop with a parameter j is less than to n2. If it is true, then it will perform the statements inside. It will reinitialize each value of the array to the value of array M, and then after that it will increment the values of j and k. Next is creating another method. So method has a parameter int array, int left, and int right. So inside the method is an if condition. If left is less than to right, then it will perform the inside statements. It will declare and initialize a variable named mid equals to the value of left plus right variable and then divided to 2. Then it will call on the method merge search. So the first one, it called on to sort out the values from the left to the mid of the array. And the next calling of the merge sort method is to sort the values of the array from mid up to the right. And lastly, by calling the merge method, it will now combine the left, mid, and right values and will be stored inside the array. After that, we'll proceed to the main function or the main method. So inside the main method, here we declare and initialize a new value named n, which will indicate the number of arrays or the number of elements we want to store into the array. Next, here we store the we set the size of the array equivalent to the value of n variable that we declared. Then next is another for loop. So this for loop has a parameter int I is equals to 0. Then if I is less than to n, then it will iterate and then at the same time increments I. So basically this for loop will allow the user to input some elements into the array depending on what size they chose or they inputted at first. So then proceed on sorting the elements that is being stored inside the array. So here, instantiation of a object named ob, it will then trigger the merge sort class. So next, as another merge sort class, here is passing the values of array and then its length. By doing this, value of the array will be passed through merge sort function and will be sorted using the process I've mentioned earlier. And then here is the printing of the sorted values using the merge. So code works. So let's try to run. Let's try to put 5 elements. So first element is, let's say, 34, 1, 76, 89, and 3. So as you can see, all the values that we inputted is now being sorted and it is displayed, as you can see, in ascending order: 1, 3, 34, 76, and 89. So that's it. Thank you for listening.